In this short episode, we're going to discuss how do you save more? What are some tips and tactics to support you in saving more? Because when you save more, you have more money, which is more resources to invest when deals and opportunities come at your footstep. So if you're interested in learning more about that, continue listening. Welcome to the Red to Black podcast with your hosts Werner and Mario. And today we're discussing how do you save more. Mario, I know you have some burning tips you want to get off your chest. What are they?
Yeah, get comfortable with saying no.
That's a good
that's
one.
That's the most powerful word in the world is no. That's the real powerful word that people don't want you to say is no. And just get comfortable with it. This is going to be a little crass, but for a lot of the gentlemen that are our age, it's telling your significant other no. It's telling the lady that might be driving the financial decisions in your house, no, we're not going to do that. And as uncomfortable as that might be, that's how you save more money and you invest. And that's how long-term you become financially independent. You're not a slave in your 40s and 50s to corporations and people that don't really care about you and your family, is by getting really comfortable saying no.
Yeah, so there's actually a book written on it, and I'll put it, I don't remember what it is right now, but it's a book that Chris Voss recommended, something about no, I have it, and I'll put it down below for the listeners when I find it. But it's a great book on how when you go into a negotiation situation, this author talks about how everyone wants a win-win situation, but he said the win-win actually doesn't set you up for success because it puts you in a situation where you're willing to give more to appease the other side than you actually would choose to do on your own. So what that means is, say you are looking to buy a house and you're like, well, I only want this much square feet and I want this price. You go into negotiation. The next thing you know, you hit the prices up 50 to 100 grand above, and there's all these other concessions you're making because you fell in love with the house, because you're like, oh, it's a win-win. It's a win-win. So what this guy talks about is actually no. What Mario's talking about starts with how do you get to know? It starts with figuring out what your criteria is for saving. That's the key, because it's going to be challenging to say no if you don't have a game plan for how you're going to save and then invest that money every month. If you say, okay, this is my budget, then when your significant other or someone else or an opportunity arises, you say, no, that's not within my budget. So the no is the foundational piece behind that no is your plan. Because without, everything without a plan will fail. So what are your thoughts on that, Mario?
Absolutely, Warner. Good points. The most powerful thing we can do is create a plan and then execute that plan. And that'll give you confidence. That'll generate some confidence in your life. I think most people have too much house. That's the number one thing they need to look at, is how much square footage do you need? We've talked about this before, and it's really, you need a place to cook food, a nice kitchen. You need a nice place to lay your head down, a nice bedroom or bed, and you need an outdoor living space to go relax, to clear your mind. And the Japanese, man, they've got this figured out. Go to a library, pick up some books about Japanese culture, how they do housing. Look at the way they do a garden. Basic herbs, basic root vegetables. You just need a small space. But we got 7,000 square foot houses in America and 2 people living in them. So it's ridiculous. Which is okay when you have 10 figures. It's fine. Go ahead, do that. And it was just a rounding error in your life. Buy whatever you want. Warner and I both love beautiful houses, architecture. It's fine. Doing that in your 30s and 40s is a mistake unless you've become financially independent. Wait till you're financially independent before you're buying a way bigger house than you actually need.
Yeah, so those are great points. And it reminds me, I just posted an article on the Red to Black podcast called How to Save More, or How to Improve Your Saving. But the thing that it points to is it's 3 steps I have is determine your expenses, evaluating your expenses, and then getting rid of what you're not using. And we've talked about this in some other podcasts. And basically, when you determine what your expenses are, you determine what is required to live. So your shelter, your food, your mobility, the required clothing, and then you determine what is your fun expenses. Because if you're just going all the time, just living, like Mario likes to say, just close to the ground, you're having no fun, you're going to burn the heck out. So just put a little bit towards living, having some fun, maybe going on, like Mario's in Hawaii, going on a stand-up paddleboard, renting a stand-up paddleboard for a day, or going fishing with a buddy, right? Simple things to sort of relax and reset. And then finally, what's your emergency fund? So when things are humming along in life and something happens, you have $1,000 or $2,000 when emergency hits, it's there and you can grab it. There's no shock. It's like, oh yeah, I got a fund to deal with that. So those three things I recommend, and then evaluating, because once you set up these expenses, now you want to assess and evaluate, because you want to determine, hey, were these the right expenses? Did I set them up correctly? Do things come in? Your thoughts, Mara, on that second one?
Well, what you said firstly about getting rid of the stuff you don't use or your clutter, you having excess things. I mean, it takes time to clean everything. It takes time to organize everything. If you can only own the things you're actually using in your life and release some of the other stuff, donate it, give it away, sell it, you're becoming more efficient with your time, and which also ultimately enables you to make more money and save more money. So getting rid of things, one, don't buy it. If you did buy it, get rid of it. If it's not adding value to your life, live a simple life. I say live low to the ground. There's a time to do that. It sets you up for financial independence in your late 30s, early 40s. It's not for everybody. I get it. Minimalism, living low to the ground isn't for everybody, but I like to live close to the water in the smallest apartment I can find. I'm a single dude. I find the smallest concrete bunker as close to the water as possible, so I can stand up paddleboard and I go fishing. I get on the beach every morning. I also live in Hawaii, so the weather's pretty awesome, and I'm fortunate to be there. But looking at what you actually need in your life versus what you want, and trying to square that with the things you own, and potentially releasing on some things is a massively it frees up your mind to think, and it's a financially independent move, is to get small.
Yeah, so that points to a statement that I like to say, and it's a variation of another statement, which is you can always consume after you make money, but it's hard to go the other way, where it's, if you're always consuming, you're not going to be making money. It's like that other saying it points to. I've said this before. I don't know where I got this, but you can always go be a beach bum. You can always go be a ski bum, but it's hard to become a millionaire as time starts ticking on because of compounding interest and the skills you lack. Let's say you've been a ski bum for, I don't know, 20 or 30 years. And I've seen him, Mario and I have seen him in these ski towns, and they're still waiting tables. And yeah, they're having a fun time, but you can kind of see in their eyes, they didn't really maximize their potential unless they went a route of where they became an extreme skier and they created a brand around it. But then they're not really a ski bum. Now it's a profession. So what Mario and I are saying when saving, what saving points back to is creating, how do you create value? Because when you create value, that enables you to assess and evaluate a business. And then when you only buy the value that you require, you can put other value aside, and we're talking about money here, other value aside, which you stack up in the form of stacks of cash, that when an opportunity comes along, you can purchase that opportunity. So when you're looking at your saving, or you're examining or assessing your savings rate every month and how much you're expending, and then you're getting rid of what you don't use, what that's training you to do is to evaluate what's the most efficient thing for you to operate. Guess who also does that? Great businesses. So if you start evaluating your own life, and Mario taught me this, like, hey, I only need this amount to live. Like Lydia and I were living in a house, and it took us 2 years to get rid of all our crap to be able to move. So you don't realize how this stuff accumulates up, and then you're managing it. And then to get rid of it, you're going to get about 50 cents on the dollar for everything. So it's really easier just to buy really high quality stuff and then just use it for its exact purpose. And if you're not using it, give it away, someone else can use it. But stack up your value, your resources, and your time so you can invest. And then on the back end, you can buy whatever you want. Those are my thoughts.
And how much time did it free up? So I know you've lived in some houses on the North Shore that weren't yours. You just rented them. But when you went from living in your own house to renting different places, how much time did it free up, specifically in yard work and house maintenance?
50% more time, because every time you're going to your own house, you're like, I remember in my house, oh, the toilet's shaking. This is a brand new toilet. Or the hedge is now, Lydia keeps pointing to the hedge, and the hedge is now 12 feet tall. It used to be 6. And it's like, oh man, I got to cut that. So that hedge took me, I had to buy a bigger ladder was $250, $300, a special order ladder with a platform on it, so I could put my $600 hedge trimmer. And it took me 8 hours to cut that hedge, but I did it over 4 days because I did it 2 hours at a time because it was so dang hot. So it was rewarding in the fact that I learned how to develop a skill set. But for what I'm suited to do, which is investing in businesses, it wasn't the most effective use of my time. That's my point.
Live low to the ground, fellas.
Yep. And that's it for this short episode. Thank you guys for watching. We ask that you comment, like, and share this video with your friends and family. And as always, please subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Thank you for your time.